Hi, everybody. Welcome. Today I'm here with Andrea Maxine Frade, and she is a graduate of Thriving Healers, and she's here to talk a little bit about her journey with Thriving Healers. She's an energy healer and intuitive in New York City. She works with women on a spiritual path to align with their soul calling and remember their most powerful gifts. And I know you're incredible at that. So I'm really excited to have this time together today. Thank you so much for taking some time to kind of talk about your journey.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's really my pleasure. Okay, so let's start by talking about, before you joined Thriving Healers, where were you at in your practice? Like, what did it look like? What were you frustrated with? What was going on?
So at the time before Thriving Healers, I had a very busy practice doing many different things. So I was fortunate enough to be doing what I loved in teaching yoga and meditation and doing hands-on healing and body work and intuitive guidance work with women. And I was overextended. I was running around, teaching all over Brooklyn, New Jersey, New York City, a little bit upstate. And so my energy and my efforts were really spread out. And I also felt extremely alone in my process as a business owner, because most of the time was spent showing up for clients, doing the work, and not really having the time to consider how my business was operating.
Mm-hmm.
Nor did I have any training or orientation around what that even, like I didn't even know what that meant.
Right.
I just thought, well, I'm a healer, I'm a teacher, this is what I have to do, so I'm going to do whatever it takes so that I can do what I love. And I was willing to pretty much do whatever it took to grow my private practice. I was very clear on what I wanted to do, and yet it wasn't an efficient model, and the system in which I was working was a recipe for burnout. So I was burning out a lot.
Yeah. I think I remember when you started with us, like in one of the calls, or first calls, you saying something like not having any days off in the week. Was that something that happened?
Yeah. Absolutely. I was working all the time. I would sacrifice my personal time and personal life for my work life. So I was basically working to live.
Yeah.
And I felt very ashamed that I had to struggle to do what I loved. I knew that I was on my path, but I didn't know another way. I didn't know the way through to get to a clear model of working in my business and also on my business.
Right. That makes sense.
Growing it in a way that was sustainable and also respected the level of time, space, and energy that I personally had. So my boundaries were out of alignment. And so therefore, the more I would deplete or the more I felt unsupported, the more difficult it became to restore. Like I just remember feeling like I had to do whatever it took to have my own business. And I really sacrificed my own inner well-being and my own sense of healthy boundaries to be able to do that. And that's okay. It was okay for some time, but then it became not okay.
Yeah.
And that's sort of at the point, a little bit before you and I spoke, but I was hitting that point consistently for about a year before I actually met you.
Uh-huh.
It was almost like I just was like in this cycle of recreating the same patterns of inefficiency, overextension, depletion, burnout, and then, but always the inspiration kept me going. but I didn't have the steady foundation to grow in a way that supported the lifestyle and the feeling of well-being I wanted to have. And that created an interesting split because I was a yoga teacher teaching people about health and wellness, and yet my personal life didn't feel like health and well-being. It was, I had a very deep understanding of the principles of yoga and the practice, and I was very skillful as a teacher, but the work-life balance was not in alignment.
Right. So how was it for you at that time also charging? Were you undercharging? Like, were you making enough money because you were working that hard, or?
I was making enough money to live, and have what I needed, I suppose. I lived on my own, but I didn't have much room for anything. Like, I didn't have, I was working really hard. I have a very strong work ethic, so I never worried about my ability to take on the challenges and the ups and downs, but I really didn't have room for any emergencies, any self-care, any healing work for myself, right? So a vacation.
Right. Break.
No vacations.
Yeah.
I would take time off, but it would always be, simply to see family or something necessary, but never, this is time off. It was more of just, okay, this is a small break, but really, you can't afford much more than this. So
kind of month to month.
Yeah, it was just tight all the time. And I think that I became so accustomed to that rhythm. I just didn't know I was even in that.
Right.
I just thought, oh, well, this is what I have to do in order to do what I love.
Ouch.
Yeah, it was really, painful. And also because I worked on my own independently, it felt also very isolating.
Yeah.
So, I didn't really know, it was sort of a ray of light that sort of peered through the clouds. And I made a promise to myself at one point. I said, okay, this is not working anymore. I challenged myself to reach out to 3 people that I didn't know and just inquire about their work, because I wanted to know how other healers and teachers were doing it. And that's actually how I met Maxine, who knew you. And then I met you.
Yes.
And so it was very timely and serendipitous and intuitively guided the way that I found you, because I did not see the webinar before we spoke.
Right.
So kind of came,
Right. So what was the moment, or what was it that when you knew you needed to take that step to join Thriving Healers?
Before I spoke to you, or when I spoke to you?
When was the moment, or what was that when you were like, okay, I know I need to do this?
Yeah. Well, definitely the feeling of being alone and not feeling like I had the resources to grow my business in the way that I wanted to. And I'll also add that what happened in that moment was I recognized that what was even more important to me was the impact I wanted to have on the collective or the communities around me. And in order to do that, I had to take responsibility for the way I was participating in my business. So it was, yes, the pain point of not having much room for a personal life, but it was also about entering into a larger conversation around my healing work and bringing it to a wider audience and having greater impact on other people's lives. That was kind of the arrow that hit the bullseye. And I knew that if I wanted that, which I did, I needed to start reaching out and finding those people that had done it and that also could possibly direct me to the resources I needed to shift the model in which I was working in my business.
And what made Thriving Healers the right fit for you?
Such a good question. So the first thing I think that really made it clear that Thriving Healers was for me was our initial conversation. Because there was such a level of inner disappointment and shame around, being such a hard worker and being such a skilled practitioner and yet not growing my practice in the way that I wanted, I really felt misunderstood, or I had this fear of being misunderstood. And so the initial contact I had with you and feeling understood in my pain, in the point where the discomfort was so great and where I felt so paralyzed, was the initial impetus that lit up in my system that said, yes, this person understands where I'm at and can see me with compassion. That was really the first point where my system said, yes, this is what you've been seeking, because it wasn't just about making more money for me. It was about being heard and seen in the discomfort. And because it's so uncomfortable that, if someone were to just come by and say, well, do you just have to do all these things? It would just hit a wall. Right. And so my wall softened enough so that I could see the possibility that there is a way through. And that was really very powerful and encouraging. And also, I understood in our conversation what I would be working on and the benefits of what we would be working on together in a community of others that were also on a similar path. So initially, that's what lit up for me in terms of feeling like Thriving Healers was a fit. I think where I was at that time, what really sealed the yes was learning a model of working on my business that felt like it had integrity and was in alignment with what I was seeking. It wasn't like it was imposing a system onto me that I had to learn to do these things I didn't want to do. It was actually about learning a new skill that would empower me to share my work with others that is fully aligned and in integrity with who I am. And that was really important for me. And eye-opening. I didn't know that, marketing meant being seen in your unique gifts. And that is always still a point of learning and growth, because what I also learned was I was extremely uncomfortable in being seen in my authentic gifts. And so part of what I've learned over this time is that part of the work is the deeper layer of feeling supported in being seen in your most authentic self and bringing that through your business model and the gifts that you share with others.
So beautiful. And so powerful. And I think so many other practitioners can relate to the deep desire to do it with such integrity, being totally who you are, and then also the terror of being seen in that. Yeah.
And I will say that it's not like it goes away. It just, it evolves and it grows you and it grows the integrity of the work, which I am so deeply thankful for.
Wonderful. So what are like what were the things that for you really worked best that you got out of Thriving Healers?
Oh, there's so many. So one was the quick start where, when I signed up, the program hadn't even started yet, but you had the quick start guide. And I am a doer. I get activated when I want to, when I want to do something. I really do take action. And I dove in, and that really helped seal the bridge, or create a bridge, because the program wasn't starting for 3 months or something like that. And so, but I wanted new clients right away. I wanted to get working. I wanted to get the system sort of moving, and I wanted to get started right away. I was very eager to learn. And so that helped me see that I could take action right away. And I enrolled my first group program that I had been thinking about for a couple of years that I had never done before. It was an online program. It was my first ever. And I enrolled, I think it was 5 women, actually, it might have been 6 women. It was 6 initially, and then one person ended up, she couldn't do it, but which paid for my tuition for Thriving Healers for the first year. So that already was incredible, because I had the very straightforward tools to be able to talk to people about what I was doing, and also offer them a very clear definition of the benefits of what I was offering. And with the supervision and the community and your guidance, I was able to feel held while taking those actions. And so that was the first thing. I think initially just having the actions I could take right away to generate new clients and connections. Also having the educational videos as part of the program for the time in between our calls and our meetings would help me remember and stay connected to the material, so that I could feel like I was consistently implementing and translating the material, the content, the model that you present within my own understanding. And I would say the third piece that was really important was having the community and support. So, okay, you know what to do.
Right.
But then the fear of doing it rises so strongly that, it could be a couple of days and you're like, oh my gosh, I really need support around this fear that's coming up in me. And so being able to be seen for that and held in a compassionate and understanding way, and facilitating through the fear with support, to be able to move into that place where then the action still remains clear, even though it's a little scary, but it's clear that I am aligned, and it's clear that this is actually in service to my growth, and that the fear is okay, and we're all here supporting you and celebrating you as you take these bold and aligned actions. So yeah, I would say that was really, and continues to be, an incredible resource of support.
That's so beautiful, and I just want to acknowledge you, because I've witnessed you so many times bring the fear, work with it, take the step, and it's inspiring. And I still hit my fear growing my business, so I know, right? Like, yeah. Thank God for the community.
Yeah. And what comes, and then, it also, right, like I also have a community that is my, right? So as I move through, it only benefits the people that are working with me so I feel like the work I'm doing and the community that I'm working with is benefited from the larger container. So it feeds into it's all related. It's all communicating together. And so my work feels supported. And through, like, I believe that in order to be guiding others, you have to learn how to be guided. And so as I open, right, to being guided, I learn also the depth and new skills that are arising so that it can benefit others. So it's a constantly generous and abundant system of growth and transformation.
Beautiful. So what specific problems does this resolve for you, given where you were before now? Like what's not a problem anymore that was when you started?
Well, I can take vacation. I can travel to see my mom without, feeling like everything's going to go off the rails if I take 3 weeks to go visit her in Europe, which I love doing. I got to visit Egypt and afford a beautiful spiritual pilgrimage that was near and dear to my heart and very special. And it's something I probably would have never even thought or allowed myself to consider in the past. It's no longer a problem that I am overly extended. I am selective about who I work with. I am no longer driving to many of my clients. They come see me or I'm doing remote work. So that overextended and scattered overworking is not a problem anymore. Not to say that I don't work hard and diligently at growing my business, but the feeling is much clearer and aligned to my essence, to who I am and who I want to be in the world. And so the effort and work that I put into my business feels aligned and sustainable and evolving rather than out of a place of fear or desperation or scarcity. And absolutely, I don't feel alone in my pursuit as a healer and intuitive guide for others, because I am immersed in a community of other healers that are bringing the same or similar kind of work to the planet to make the world a better place, to raise the bar. And I feel constantly encouraged by my peers. And that is an incredibly motivating factor, because I know we're doing it together. And I've received friendships that are lifelong friendships out of this process. I feel that the way I connect with others about my work and new potential clients is from my heart. I feel like I can absolutely connect with anyone about my work from a place of integrity and wholeheartedness. And I have no doubt that I mean what I say, because I've come to a place where I understand why I do what I do. And I can see or feel the offering that it is in its truth, and not feel, because whereas before it might have felt like, oh gosh, I hope they really like it or something like that, or I really want them to work with me. It's more about, how can I put it? Really aligning with the true benefit of the work, because I believe in its transformational effect. So I feel aligned to a higher purpose, and I can see the collective purpose that it has. And that's really made a difference for me, because I think before it would always feel like it was resting on whether or not I was good enough, rather than seeing this is the work I offer and refining that to see it as its own medicine coming through me to really support and uplift and educate others, right, in their own personal healing and transformational journey. So my commitment is at a different level. Whereas before I didn't know that. Before I didn't have that sense. It was always this worry of, am I good enough, or can I do this? And of course, there's always the question of, I want to be of the best service and support I can, but it's no longer coming from this place of I am alone and small and I don't have resources. It's like, no, I have a growing edge, and the impact I want to have is something I can aspire to with integrity and with authenticity and connection and support. If that makes sense.
Beautiful. Okay. Such a beautiful transformation. There's the outer transformation of your business, and then there's that inner transformation of confidence and self-knowing and worthiness that's precious.
Yes. And just, I think absolutely, I will say one of the, which sticks out, really stands out is, from worthiness to willingness. That piece was so key to just keep being willing, to be willing, to take that next step. And every time I did, and every time I still do, my business grows exponentially. Whether it's financially or I just meet a whole new bunch of people, every time I take that leap of faith, something new opens, something grows. And that is astounding in and of itself. And I will say, the pressure, it builds, and then the action is taken and something opens.
Beautiful. Is there any specific wins, like that, financial wins or something that you could share with us?
Sure. Yes, I can. This year, so last year in November, I started enrolling for my first 10-month mentorship program for women to support them in aligning with their soul calling and remembering their most powerful gifts. It's called From Guidance Within. And I built a core curriculum to bring women through this transformational process. I started enrolling around November 2018, and by February 2019, I had 5 women enrolled, and I had a $30,000 launch. And within 2 months of that, I launched another program and had a $11,000 launch. So within 4 months, I made $40K, which was more than I ever thought. And I will say that is pretty impressive as I say it out loud. It's sort of, that really happened this year. But what made it even more exciting was that it was also with people that I deeply wanted to work with. That the community that came around these projects and these courses and programs and curriculums were aligned with the work itself. And that was extremely exciting because it wasn't a feeling of like, oh, please, want this. It was more like, let's come together and do this. And it's been an incredible journey of growth for myself. It was a huge leap of faith, and it's still unfolding. It's still unfolding and growing. And I feel like the relationships I've cultivated through taking those actions are just lifelong clients. They're women I really love and support, and the work feels rewarding and grounded and useful and beneficial and honest. And I'm just so proud of that.
It's absolutely amazing to be fully doing the thing you're meant to do and being rewarded financially for it so that you can have that balance and model for others what it's like to be doing what you want, not at the sacrifice of yourself.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think I had no idea what it could feel like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really proud of you.
Yeah, and it was scary. I will always, admit that, at that moment you are tested in that moment, of believing in yourself and in your vision and in your clients. And it's an exquisite leap of faith. It really is. And when you do the groundwork and you lay the foundation and you're supported, it's entirely possible. Yeah.
Beautiful. So if someone was watching this video and was curious about Thriving Healers or was like interested in joining, what would you say to them?
I would say that whatever it is that you deeply desire to do with your work in the world is needed. Your unique vision is needed. And this program can support you in doing that. Anything is possible. And that the community of this program and its community is in support of you fully embodying your truth and your authentic vision, and has the tools to encourage you and empower you to do so. And to say it even maybe more simply is to say, I never felt more seen and heard and supported in my best interests. That the encouragement and support is real and coming from an authentic place. It's not just about, well, let me teach you this model and do that so you get that. It's really about the deeper truth of the work that wants to come through you. So beautiful. I hope that's
wonderful. Thank you. Is there anything else you would want to say or share about your journey that we didn't talk about?
The only thing, I guess, is that I've also come to believe even more strongly that the more we have people doing what they're meant to be doing from their heart, the better this world will be. And being a part of this program and this community has reinforced that 1,000-fold to infinity of the benefit of growing together in an environment that genuinely supports one another. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being such an integral part of our community and doing that for everyone else in the community. Mm-hmm. And I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. That's wonderful. I'm going to stop the recording.
I really feel so honored to have been a part of it and to be doing the team leads and to be able to be with you guys for another year, and who knows what will, but I really want to say thank you. Like, it's really meant so much, and it's a beautiful model. It's really powerful.